your neighborhood look like this?
No? Well, why don't you come on down and check ours out?
Hi, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Indira, and there's always something fun happening on Kids Sports. Hi, and welcome to Kids Sports.
And if you want to know everything there is about sports, this is where you want to be.
Like how to buy the right stuff.
For some of the weird science behind your favorite sports.
We're even going to check out a few games that you've never even heard of.
We'll meet real sports stars.
And don't forget Pep Talk with Coach Pep. Wow, and to start things off, do you think you're good at what you do? Well, there's always room for improvement, right?
Right. Watch this.
Okay, real quick, what's your favorite sport? Football, baseball, hockey, basketball? Well, how many of you out there said gymnastics? 1, 2, come on. I bet most of you don't even know what gymnastics is all about. Well, you learn something new every day, like I did when I was on my way to meet Thomas at school. You see, I made this wrong turn and... wow.
Hi, can I help you? Are you looking for someone?
What's all this?
This is gymnastics.
Like in the Olympics, right? It's where you kind of jump and swing on bars and win gold medals, isn't it?
Well, kind of, but there's a little bit more to it than that.
How do you know so much?
Well, I'm Bill Roth, and I'm on the United States national team.
Wow.
Yeah, would you like to know more about the sport?
You bet. Like I said, you learn something new every day.
Well, gymnastics is a unique sport that attracts boys and girls. In boys gymnastics, there are 6 events. There's floor, pommel horse, rings, vaulting, parallel bars, and the exciting high bar. In women's gymnastics, there are only 4 events. There's floor, vaulting, balance beam, and bars.
So how do I start if I want to be a gymnast?
Well, there are a couple ways you can get started in gymnastics. The most popular way is through the gym school. And all you have to do is just show up at the front door and sign up for classes. But you must remember that wherever you go to train or practice, it's going to take a lot of hard work and dedication.
So if I train and practice real hard, I can be in the Olympics?
Well, you're on your way.
Wow, thanks.
Hey, where have you been?
Oh, hi, Thomas. Guess what?
What?
I'm going to be in the Olympics. I'm going to be a gymnast.
Not before you see what's next on Kids Sports. It's all about getting in shape.
Kids Sports, I love that show.
Me too.
Come on, Amy, the whole team's counting on you. I don't know, I'm just not in the mood today. Suit yourself, Amy, but you'll be sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry I ever started playing in the first place. Sports are for boys anyway.
Hey, don't ever say that.
But it's true, who are you?
I'm Wendy Hilliard.
What do you know about sports? More importantly, how did you get in my room?
Well, I guess you could call it part of my job as a former president of the Women's Sports Foundation.
Wait a second, Wendy Hilliard, you're a national team gymnastic champion, right? And a team captain.
That's rhythmic gymnastics, Amy. And I think you really are interested in sports.
Yeah, kind of, but that's kid stuff now. Like I said, sports are for boys.
Now, wait a second, Amy. Sports are for everybody. Girls have just as much fun competing in sports as boys do. And you know that women who competed in sports when they were girls, studies show, they are more healthy, have more confidence, and also have more energy. And speaking of health, just as little as 3 hours a week participating in sports can reduce your risk of breast cancer by almost 30%.
Well, everyone knows that exercising is good for you.
Yeah, but did you know that girls that participate in sports are more likely to do better in high school and they graduate at higher rates than girls who did not play sports?
You mean if I play lots of sports now, I can go to college and be an executive?
Well, it takes a little bit more than sports, but it definitely helps. Did you know that 80% of the women who run the biggest companies of this country participated in sports when they were kids?
Okay, but you've got to admit, when it comes to competing in the big time, it's a guy thing, right?
No way, Amy. You should see the kind of crowds women's college basketball is attracting. And did you know in the past 12 years, the number of women participating in the Olympics has tripled?
Wow.
Well, there's plenty of opportunity in women's professional sports, too. Basketball, fast-pitch softball, beach volleyball, golf, tennis, skiing, surfing, even baseball.
You know, I never stopped to think about that.
Well, you know, Don't ever let being a woman stop you from pursuing any of your dreams, especially when it comes to sports.
You're right. I better get going.
Hey, where are you going?
Didn't you hear? The whole team's counting on me. Bye.
Good luck. She may be good when it comes to sports, but somebody better talk to that girl about this room.
We'll be right back.
With more kids' sports.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I am 7 years old. I've been doing gymnastics for 3 years.
My name is Derek, and I'm 11 years old. I started competing in gymnastics when I was 6 years old. In order for me to compete in gymnastics, I have to train 18 hours a week. In order to keep this training schedule, I have to come home from school and do my homework right away and then leave for the gym. I sometimes even have to finish my homework at 10 o'clock at night. This leaves me little time to play with my friends.
I started with dance, which included ballet, tap, and jazz. This year, I decided to try gymnastics competition, so I had to give up most of my dance classes. I'm excited to see what competition is like. I already know gymnastics is a lot harder than dance for me. I don't have much time to play with my friends. I also have to eat healthy foods, lots of fruit, pasta and water, and maybe a little snack once in a while.
I like gymnastics because it makes me healthy, and I like the tricks that I get to do. It is really cool when I'm flying through the air, doing flips and twists, trying to make the perfect landing. I do lots of traveling, and I meet lots of friends in gymnastics. I also like gymnastics because I can do many things that other boys can't do.
I'm a level 5 right now in gymnastics. The hardest part for me is on bars. My hands get really sore. I have a lot of blisters, but I'm working hard to get my kip. A kip is a glide swing to a front support. I need to get it by competition time. My favorite part in gymnastics is on the floor, because it's so much like dancing. Someday I would like to be in the Olympics like Dominique Luciano or Shannon Miller.
I started gymnastics at level 7. I am now level 3. The highest level you can go is the elite level. That's from college to the Olympian. The reason I got this far is because of my hard work and the support of my family, friends, and most of all my coach Don. Naturally, I like to go far in my gymnastics. Who knows, anything is possible.
What's that stuff gymnasts put on their hands?
The white stuff is gymnastics chalk. It's not the same as the chalk in a classroom. It's the chemical magnesium carbonate. We use this to absorb sweat and oils on our hands and to give us a better grip.
Do gymnasts get dizzy on the high bars?
When you're first working on the horizontal bar, you'll get dizzy. But after you do it for a little while, it gets easy and you can start looking around and even smiling at your friends who are down on the ground.
Hi kids, I'm Jim, your physical therapist from NovaCare. Today I'm going to talk to you about gymnastics. Did you know that this year Sports Illustrated rated gymnastics as the world's toughest sport? That's because it requires hard work, dedication, brains, strength, and flexibility. Come to think of it, to be successful at anything requires all of these things too. Let me show you today how to prepare yourself physically for doing gymnastics. But remember, all of these exercises are great for you to do when you're performing any sport or just to get yourself into better shape. When gymnasts perform their activities, they need to support their body weight in many different ways. That means they need to use their body weight for resistance when they perform their workouts as well. Just like all those exercises that your gym teacher at school makes you do, like push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups. When you do sit-ups, make sure that you lie flat on your back with both feet flat on the floor. Fold both arms across your chest and slowly raise your chest towards your knees, then slowly lower your chest back to the floor. Do 15 of these until they become too easy, and then add more. When you do push-ups, make sure that you don't cheat. I know all kids love to cheat when they do push-ups. Make sure that you push your arms all the way straight, keeping your back and head straight, and then lower your chest all the way back down to the floor. Again, do 15 of these until they become too easy, then add some more repetitions. Remember, make sure you check with your doctor before you start any exercises or sport, and always tell an adult if anything that you do hurts.
We'll be right back with more kids' sports.
You know you hear your parents and teachers talking all the time about getting kids off the street. Well, way back when, the street wasn't a bad place to play.
The street was the place to play. Check it out.
Just when you thought you run out of things to do, ta-da, streets to the rescue with another great game from the good old days. Anybody out there know how to play chink? No? I don't see too many hands going up. So listen up and I'll tell you. Put down your soda pops and your chips. First, you take one ball. You take one wall. Add in 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 of your best buddies and watch closely.
Go ahead, Joe. Now, Frank, you hit it after him. Go ahead, Frank.
Get it? You like those moves? Well, then guess what? You know how to play chink. Yeah, of course, there's a few basic ground rules that apply. Like I said, you start with up to 6 players. Now, player number 1 serves at the buddy number 2, and buddy number 2 serves at the player number 3, and it keeps going down the line until someone messes up. Like if the ball hits the wall before it bounces, or if it bounces twice before you actually hit it. Any questions? No, good. Now, if the ball happens to come down here and hit the corner, like this, that's called chink. You know, it's like a do-over. You get to do it again, if you know what I mean. The fun really starts happening when you and a buddy start setting people up for a fall, if you know what I mean. That way you find out who your friends and who your enemies are. Why is the game called chink? Well, you know, if you say chink, it means it's a do-over. It hit the corner. Also, if there's a chink in the wall, you know, like a crack or something. You don't want to play on walls with cracks in them. There ain't chinks in them, you know what I mean? But I'll tell you, the game really doesn't have to do with the name, and the name doesn't have to do with the game. Why you asking me? What do I look like, some kind of chink expert? Get out of here.
Everybody's always talking about how things used to be.
Not everybody. Kids Sports tells it like it is today.
It's soccer!
It's soccer, basketball, and it's a fun sport to play because it's like 2 sports in one.
If it bounces on the floor, well, it goes right to soccer. And if it bounces up and you can catch it, well, it's right to basketball.
If you score on soccer, then it's 1 point. If you score on basketball, it's 2 points.
Well, at Logan Township, we have a everyone counts and everyone belongs motto. So we take that right into our physical education classes where competition isn't so important and everyone gets to participate in all of the activities. Well, the kids will come in and then rather than line up in their squads, they'll get right into an activity, whether it's over and under where one student lays on their belly and the other one jumps over them and then crawls under them as quickly as they can.
Faster, let's go! Quickly, quickly, quickly! Over, under, then switch. Over, under, let's go. Fast, fast, fast. Lay down. There you go. Up and over, up and over.
Or I may add some equipment by throwing some cones out onto the floor and having the students set some cones up that are placed down on the ground or knock cones down that were already set up.
That's it. Knock them down, set them up. Knock them down, set them up. Go, 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 go.
This game is called soccer basketball. When the ball rolls along the ground, the students are to use their soccer skills to kick it through the other team's line. When the ball is kicked into the air or thrown into the air from one teammate to another, they may bring it down the court to shoot a basket. 2 points in for a basket, 1 point if it goes in for the soccer ball. Kids really enjoy this game because everyone gets to participate at the same time. If they're not playing out on the field, they're in the goal.
Hi, my name is Tommy Conley. I'm a good sport when I play sports because I never argue with the referee, I always play by the rules, and I always shake my opponent's hands at the end of the game. It's cool to be a good sport on kids' sports.
We'll be right back with more Kids Sports.
Hey, Mr. Z, are you getting ready to teach your class baseball stuff?
No, Josh, today's lesson is about gymnastics.
Gymnastics? I didn't know they used baseballs in gymnastics.
They don't. But what we're going to talk about today is how gymnasts can dismount from way up in the air and land without breaking their legs. It's the same principle at work when you catch a baseball safely with a glove. Hey, do you know why you use a glove in the first place?
That's easy, Mr. Z. It's so I don't hurt my hand.
But a scientist wants to know why the glove works, and it's not good enough just to say because it's soft. The real reason is that when the ball stops, it's got to lose all of its momentum and all of its kinetic energy. And for that to happen, there's got to be a force. It's the force that can hurt or damage your hand. The padding in the glove spreads that force out over a larger distance and a longer time, and that's what makes it smaller, so it doesn't hurt so much. For a gymnast, all that padding in the mat does the same thing. It spreads the impact force out so it gets smaller. That's the key, Josh. Spreading the force out, making it smaller so it's safe.
Hey, is that how an airbag in a car works?
You really are amazing, Josh. That's exactly right. Of course, there's more to the story.
What do you mean, Mr. Z?
Well, when you catch a baseball, you move your hand back. You wouldn't want to catch a baseball like this, a fastball anyway. Anybody that's ever caught a fastball barehanded knows what I'm talking about. You really got to move that hand to spread that impact force out so it doesn't sting. For a gymnast, when they land, it's bending the knees. It spreads that impact force out enough to make it safe. You know, Josh, I just did a calculation using some basic physics equations that shows if you had a 150-pound person jump into the floor about 15 feet, the floor would push up on their feet with about 80,000 pounds of force. That's 40 tons.
Wow, that sure would hurt.
Not only that, that would be more than enough force to break their legs. That's why a gymnast, even when they stick their landing, has to bend their knees at least a little. Otherwise, there'd have to be stretchers and doctors around all the time.
That's really neat how you can calculate all that stuff using physics. Did you have to use a big computer to do it?
No, Josh, just my little calculator. But you know what? If you keep studying math and science in school, before you know it, you'll be able to calculate all kinds of stuff like that yourself.
Boy, that'll be great.
And now here's Pep Talk
With Coach Pep.
Today, girls, we're going to be talking cheerleading. Now, you may think that cheerleading is just a bunch of jumping and hopping and kicking and bodies flying here and there. But that is to the untrained eye. Ow, hurt. Anyway, cheerleading is a skill that must be learned and practiced like any other. Practice makes perfect, and don't you forget that. Now, what do you say we start off with just a few fundamentals, okay? Now be very careful and pay attention. Rock, rock, sis, boom, ha. Now, you get to try.
Let's go! G-O! Paving Fred, let's go! Let's go! G-O! Paving Fred, let's go! Let's go!
Whew. Well, you guys learn pretty quickly.
Kids Sports will be right back!
Come on, kids, come help me get my food shopping done. I'll teach you how to read labels to make sure that the foods that you're picking are those that are going to help you perform your best.
No way. It takes my mom ages to go food shopping when she's in her healthy mood.
My mom spends so much time looking at the labels. She thinks we're never going to get out of this store.
Well, I can fix that. It's easy to shop for healthy foods when you know what you're looking for. Follow these simple guidelines when shopping for nutritious foods. Choose things that are low in fat, with less than 30% of the calories coming from fat. Look for ones that are high in fiber, with more than 3 grams of fiber per serving. Then go for things that are high in calcium, with more than 30% of the RDA, and then look for foods that are high in vitamin C, looking for more than 50% of the RDA. Foods won't always meet all of these guidelines, but if the one you pick has one or more of them, it will most certainly help make your diet more nutritious.
The actual insides of the baseball start out with what we call the cushion cork center, and the cushion cork center actually is comprised of a piece of cork just like this right here. We then take it and surround it with 2 layers of rubber, and then we'll actually put those 2 halves together, and that forms the cushion cork center, which is the actual start of our Major League Baseball. Once we get done with that, we're actually going to put the windings on the baseball. The windings are put on by a machine, and when we put it on the machine, it actually starts out just with that cushion cork center, and when we pull it off, this is what you get right here. When we go to the second winding of the baseball, we go a little bit thinner wool. It's also a different color. I'm going to change the color every time I change the layering on the baseball. When I get to the last winding of wool on the baseball, it's a 3-ply winding of wool as well. But again, we've just changed the color because we've changed the winding on the baseball. It takes 2 of these figure-8 shaped pieces to make a cover of a baseball. The next thing I'll do is I'll actually take the covers and I'll dip them in water. Now the reason I dip them in water is because when leather gets wet, it stretches, and I'm actually wanting to stretch that cover all the way around the baseball. Now once I get done with that, I want to make sure that it has been constructed properly, and so the real easy way for me to do that is to actually cut part of the baseball out. When I cut part of the baseball out, I can actually look inside the windings of the ball, and I can actually see that the ball has been constructed properly, because in the process of actually making this baseball, I've done it all in different colors, and so I know what color represents what kind of layering or what kind of thread that we used. And so I can see just by cutting out this baseball right here that it has been constructed properly. All right, I'm going to show you how we sew the cover on a baseball. Every baseball that you'll ever see or ever buy, the cover has to be sewn on by hand, one at a time, just like I'm showing you right here. So what I'm going to be doing to put the cover on a baseball is what we call a cross stitch. And a cross stitch is where you take the needle that's in your left hand and you put it over on the right side of the baseball. You take the needle that's in the right hand and you put it over on the left side of the baseball. Now, so what that does is that forms an X with the needles. Is what you want to do to get that cross stitch is you actually raise up on those needles. It actually crosses them over. Then all you have to do is actually pull them through. When I pull them through, is what I want to do is actually tighten them up. And when I tighten them up, I want to pull towards me and down. That gives me that angle stitch I'm used to seeing that I'm used to having in the baseball. And the other thing that it's doing is it's actually keeping that seam real nice and close to the baseball.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was more fun than a peanut butter, banana, and potato chip sandwich on white bread.
With mustard?
Sorry, no mustard.
Well, I guess you're right. Anyway, we'll see you next time on Kids Sports.
Bye!